Hello, my name is Jason, and welcome back to I Have a Story. I spent 3 full days from about 10 o'clock in the morning till after dark making that video I got aired out this morning, and it was after 9 o'clock last night that I finally got that video finished and turned my ringer back onto my phone to get a phone call from a friend of mine that had an update on a current situation that really coincides directly with what I'm trying to do here. And I have several of these stories to share with you. So I'm sure it made national news about how a local man was shot an officer in the leg, and I can't attest to all of it. Obviously, I wasn't there, and we were only going to hear so much. I don't know exactly what caused him to shoot the officer in the leg. I can only imagine the situation that man was in once you hear the story. So the story I got last night, and I can't attest to any of this, just this is what I'm hearing. The man had been reporting for a long time about sexual misconduct on his children by their mother at her house, which was several states away. From my understanding, he had reported it multiple times about the sexual misconduct and nobody would do anything about it. So he went and kidnapped his own kids. That's why law enforcement was after him, because he went and kidnapped his own kids to save them. Because the system didn't do their job again. My understanding is now the mother has been arrested because of the misconduct. That's disgusting. And I know several accounts of this. So the story that I'm understanding is they actually did arrest the mother for the accusations and allegations that were taking place. And the father had to do what he had to do. He went and kidnapped his own children to get them out of a very serious abusive situation. So then the authorities came after him for doing it. And I mean, I've kind of heard that he called them and wanted to meet with them. And again, I don't know what caused the confrontation that caused him to shoot the officer. I could only imagine the mental state he was in after all he's been through and his children have been through. But now he's dead because they shot and killed him. If the authorities did their job and would have investigated and took care of the situation, none of this would have happened. Likely would never have happened. But they're not doing their job. I know of situations right now that have been reported, and even the authorities came back and said, we're too scared to go there to save that child. Or those children, or whatever. There's another case right now of misconduct on a child by a mother. Children. Social services has gone to that house 3 times, and even though the people are in the house, they refused to open the door. They just walked away and said, no, nothing we can do. They won't open the door. Another house where they said they're too scared. Another house they said they're too scared and they won't do their job. But yet we want to keep blaming inanimate objects for causing harm, when the answers are the people, our systems, and it all starts with the systems in us, you and me. Why do we support millionaires who entertain us, but we can't support our systems to do their job? They don't have the funding. They don't have the resources. At least that's what they keep telling me. We don't have the resources to post somebody out in front of a house that somebody's being accused of misconduct of any sort. Again, that's why I've sat in front of people's houses so many times over my life to watch it for myself and stop it, because the people who were supposed to didn't. I should not have to do that. But I couldn't live with myself if I woke up the next morning and something happened and I knew I could have made a difference. That's why, a big reason why I've done a lot of what I've done, because I don't know how I could live with myself letting these things happen, knowing I could have done something to change it, and I didn't. Now again, I don't know what that case, what all is actually true and what's not, but this is what I'm hearing. Another case where a mother is sexually abusing her children and had been reported for nearly 2 years of this happening. And it took nearly 2 years to get the system to finally do something about it. But they claim they care so much about children. And now the mom is gone, and why did it have to go on for so long? Why? Why do you support entertainment and you think it's okay for entertainers to make millions of dollars to pretend to be something they're not, having a job that's so difficult that a dog and a cat can do it? Have you ever watched Milo and Otis? A dog and a cat can do it. A 3-year-old can do it. Didn't you watch Home Alone? Children can do it, so why is it worth millions? But yet a man or a woman puts their life on their line to protect you and they're worth tens of thousands, and then even get persecuted for doing their job on top of it. It's wrong. And this is, I mean, I don't know. I look at this as simple common sense. I mean, it's really common sense, isn't it? Your job is to protect these people. You go do your job. And if you can't do it, turn in your badge, turn in your whatever position you're in, and find somebody who will, because this is the problem with our country. We've created a world of chaos. We had rules, law, order for a reason, to keep the chaos from happening. You'll hear me talk about this all the time. But we just threw the law book out the window, and it doesn't matter anymore. So it depends on who you are and how much money you have. That's what actually means the most, right? But you say it's about the kids. I know of multiple cases like this. And I'm in one myself. But yet, even though I can prove my innocence, I did in my last video, if you please watch it, that, I mean, I don't know what more I could have done. Other than to let the authorities take her away, which I refused to do because I loved her and I cared about her, and that to me was my job as her husband, was to protect her and my kids. And instead, now she's been empowered to continue hurting our children and keeping them from me. It's been a year and a half since I've been with my kids. And God only knows what they've suffered from. I can prove abuse over and over that I've just over the phone that has taken place. But nobody cares. We wait until more people die, and then we stand up and we blame anything else we can besides the real problem. It was the gun's fault, not what caused the people to do what they did. Something I want to share about guns. I had an F-250 diesel, and I built that thing up to be a powerhouse. I had that truck almost 10 years. It was a powerhouse. That thing would run nose to nose with a Mustang and pull a house. I guarantee you, in a crowd, I would do more damage with that truck than I could ever do with a gun. Ever. It don't matter how many people you pile in front of that truck, it's going to keep on moving. It doesn't matter what we take away from us physically if we don't help ourselves emotionally. But we care about the kids, right? The proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, you care about the kids, but you won't investigate. You care about those kids in that house, but, oh, we knocked on the door 3 different times, and we can hear them inside, and they even talk to them through the door, but refuse to open the door and let them in. I mean, that kind of shows right there there's something wrong, right? But we're just going to, we went and knocked on the door, job's done. No, you go get the cops and you make them open that door. That's your actual job. That's what you do. You protect those kids. But that's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a bunch of lazy people who don't want to do nothing. Collect a big paycheck, but their word is what's right over wrong, right? Because they're professionals and they're in that seat, and their word is what is taken, not the fact they didn't do their job. I don't get this. This is driving me crazy. How can this be? This isn't the world I was raised to envision in my life. I was raised that you follow rules, you follow order. And I do, because if I don't, not only do I have my moral values against that, but I'm already treated like a criminal as an innocent victim of abuse because I'm a man. My children are still continuing to be abused because it's at the hands of a woman, and that's okay. It's not okay. So, I mean, this all coincides, right, with what I'm talking about. How does a father report sexual abuse and misconduct and nobody cares? But then they care when he goes and takes the kids from that situation, right? That's what we care about. Again, I don't know the full story. I can't. And hopefully I can get more information in the future and update this. But this is what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing it all around on all sorts of different accounts. I just gave a couple of them. But we care so much about the kids. We don't know what's wrong with our kids. Why are they doing drugs? Why are they killing one another? It's not that hard to figure out. But yet we can't figure it out? I mean, Jesus. I've really just lost faith in my entire system. I mean, a murder trial that I believe they're using the wrong evidence And forensic experts don't know the difference between ballistics of rifles and shotguns? And so much more that even happened above that. I mean, but these are the professionals who are in charge, and they're the one. I mean, a murder case, well, that's not anything major, right? Children being sexually and physically abused, that's nothing major, right? Then we wonder what's wrong with everybody. I'm not doing it like I did when I went through this the first time. The first time I turned to drugs because I actually took it to the system, and they took my rights away because I proved my case. So I lost my mind. I didn't know what to do. So I turned to drugs. Been around them my whole life and turned them down for years and years, and more than 10 years I turned down all these hardcore drugs and finally caved because I couldn't take it anymore. It's been, 14 years now since I've touched any of that stuff. I smoke marijuana, that's it. I usually, most of the time, do it at night. It helps me get to sleep. Sometimes it helps me eat with my medical conditions. I don't sit here and get stoned all day long and live life like Cheech and Chong. And I don't smoke like Cheech and Chong. Usually I just take 2 puffs and I got a relaxed feeling and I feel alright. I'm not out just to get stoned and bury my head, even though I do that at times through all this emotional trauma that I've been through. My biggest thing is cigarettes. You hear me in these recordings in my last video that you hear me hacking up phlegm all the time. I don't turn to drugs and alcohol anymore. I turn to stupid cigarettes. And it's a horrible habit, and I'm trying to kick it. Hopefully I will here pretty soon after I get this stuff done and off my shoulders. The changes that need to be made are not hard to figure out. We stop supporting millionaires who get to play games and act like something that they're not. That's not hard to do. Walk down your street, you'll see people acting like something they're not all over the place. That's not hard to do. Again, a dog, a cat can do it. Children can do it. Why is it worth millions? Why does an actor get $30 million a year, or an athlete? Because he might hurt himself. What about an officer who might die? I think that's a little more important. That's part of why I don't support any of that stuff. I watch movies. You'll see I put movies in my clips, and I'm not saying that movies are wrong or bad, and some of them are. Some of them are good. Some of them are very uplifting. Again, look what I put in there about the Rocky. That's been one of the most inspirational sayings in my life. So I want to know, what do we do? How do we make this change? Well, it starts with us, the everyday people. We stop supporting things that are wrong. I gave up college football because what I felt and what I saw was wrong. And people still supported it, and that's why it continues today, because people will still support it. They're more worried about being entertained than right and wrong anymore, but yet want to cry about what's right and what's wrong. We've become a world full of adults that are just a bunch of children that want to be entertained anymore and don't want to be adults. That's wrong. And we wonder what's wrong with the world. It's not that hard to figure out. We punish criminals. Our systems need to start doing their job. People need to start supporting our systems and funding our systems instead of people's jobs who are not nearly as important. So I think I'm going to sit down and do another video after this one and get it aired about why I gave up college football and tell my story about that, and why I did it to teach my kids that you support right over wrong every time. So again, I don't know the full facts and truth to the story about the man who was shot and killed here, and the one who shot the officer in the leg. But this is what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, and I've already seen enough of it to not believe it. I really have. I've seen enough of it in my own life personally to not believe it. So I had to get this off my chest and get it out there, because this is where it starts. We start supporting and funding our systems. We start getting the right people in those seats to do their jobs. That's where it all starts. So I'm asking you, start making changes in your life. Start finding better. I don't know if entertainment's the right word. I mean, it's part of what my kids did to me. I've spent my whole life trying to be such an adult and educating myself so much to be the best man that I could be, instead of spending my life being entertained. And where does that get us in the end? So I'm asking you, please start doing the right things. Start living like adults again. Find entertainment in your children instead of your cell phone. It's one of the. I'm going to do a video. I've seen so many adults. That's what they do. They're glued to their phone and not paying any attention to their kids. And I've seen some very severe incidences happen because of it. You guys want to start fixing the problem. That's where it starts. It starts with you. It starts with me, and it starts with our systems. We can't get anywhere until we get those fixed. Nothing. Everything else is just a band-aid. Kind of like you hear me talking about with the story with my previous, my recent airing of with the recordings with my ex-wife. It doesn't matter if we go to counseling if she can't be honest. It doesn't matter if we go to counseling if she can't get herself under control. That's where it starts. And maybe am I wrong? I should have gone to counseling, and I tried getting her to go to counseling. I mean, you heard it. If you watch that video, again, she talks the talk, but she won't walk the walk, and then denies it and lies and blames. That's what's going on in the world all around us, isn't it? We don't actually face the truth anymore. Part of nobody can handle criticism. Criticism wasn't bad. Criticism showed us what the outsiders were seeing inside us and let us know. Now, granted, there's levels that you take that to where it becomes extreme, but that's how we learn about ourselves. That's how other people show us what they're seeing. And if you can't handle simple criticism, then what can you handle? We've come a world we can't handle anything anymore. If it don't please us, we don't want to look at it. Well, the world's not a pleasing thing. The world's a very difficult and tough place. How do you stand up to it if you can't even stand up to somebody saying something silly to you? The big thing going on right now on one of the local Facebook channels is people putting laugh icon at the bottom of people's posts. If you can't handle that, I mean, they don't even have to come out and call you out and say anything or anything. All they do is just put a laugh emoji and people are crying about it. Oh my God, if you can't get over that, what can you get over? How do you ever strengthen yourself to become a better person if you can't even handle a laugh emoji being put underneath your post? But yet they want to keep shunning these people out of Facebook because that's terrible, right? We'll flash a vagina in your face, but we can't have people putting a laugh emoji. That's terrible. Oh my God, what world did I wake up in? This is insanity. We can flash vagina, but we can't put a laugh emoji. That's insanity. That's just, I don't get it. So, and it's part of me making this channel was to strengthen people again. Try to stop fear. And so many people are afraid of so many things nowadays. It's unbelievable. You can't just live a life in peace and comfort. Go to work, come home to your kids, and that's what most people they just want to come home and be entertained and forget about everything else and not even pay attention to their kids. You ask anybody, that's not the man I was. I was right there with my kids, interactive with everything they did. Go down to the library at story time, I was interactive and up on stage with them and with the instructor. Go to our church, and I'd take them to church, and we'd have our Bible studies and stuff there, and they had activities for the kids, and I was always one of the parents who volunteered to be a part of that. My oldest son, when he was in high school and junior high and elementary school, the whole time, I would volunteer for every activity I could possibly be a volunteer for so I could be a part of that kid's life. And when you hear the rest of that story and what his mom did, you're not... And the fact that, once again, the system supported it. Abusing my son and leaving him in severe problems. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to stop it. It's not that difficult to see. It's not that difficult to figure out. But for some reason, it's difficult to get people to follow along. They want to cry, they want to complain, but they don't want to do the steps necessary to take to fixing it. Well, the steps are very simple. Support the systems. Fund the systems. Put the right people in those seats. That's where it all starts. It actually is not difficult to figure out one bit. The world turns into chaos without law and order. That's what we're seeing now because we've taken law and order away. We've turned the criminals loose and empowered them. So many cities have. So many places have. And I'm seeing it right here in my own backyard all over the place. And children are suffering and in dangerous situations because of it. So I'm asking, help me stop this. Help start funding and supporting our systems. Lighting fires underneath their seats. I don't mean that literally. That's a figurative speech. I mean, God, nowadays you got to be so politically correct. But we need to do something to make a change, and that's where it starts. Are you willing to make a change? I've already done it. I'll make another video after this to show you part of how I have. And that's going to be why I gave up college football. It wasn't easy, but it actually wasn't hard either. And then once I did, I realized, look, now I got more time to spend with my kids. I got more time to do things that were more important than sitting on my butt watching people play a game. I didn't make my son give up college football, but I told him why I was, and I hope that I planted that seed so that he understands. So, yeah, we need to start making a difference in this world, and that's where it all starts. So I'm asking you, please help me make a difference. Let's start supporting our systems. Less support on entertainment. Let's start getting these people to do their job. That's where it starts. So I'm asking you, please, let's start.